While the second wave was upon us, we were thinking of other kinds of waves. So we got our health pass, drove to the airport, boarded our flight where everyone was wearing a mask, and arrived in San Jose, the capital of Costa Rica. Immediately when we arrived, we just noticed that everyone was going about their day, just wearing a mask. We drove an hour and a half to the volcano Irazu, the tallest active volcano in Costa Rica. It was strongly recommended that we show up in the morning because there's typically less cloud cover then, but I don't like being told how to live my life, so we arrived in the afternoon. This is what the volcano crater looks like on a clear day, and this is what it looked like when we showed up in the afternoon. We waited for the clouds to clear, but they never did. However, the pictures we took were def's Insta-worthy. On the next day, we started driving to La Fortuna, which is a gateway to Ardennal Volcano Park with many hikes, waterfalls, and plentiful nature to explore. Halfway on our journey, we stopped at the town of Sarcero, which has the iconic Parque Francisco Alvarado. We arrived in La Fortuna and booked a nice hotel at a serious pandemic discount. We arrived at the reception for it to be completely deserted. We note that it closed by 9 p.m. and it was firmly past 10. But by some stroke of dumb luck, we saw the owner who was able to set us up with some nice accommodations. In the morning, I begrudgingly woke up early to watch the sunrise, and the mighty Ardennal did not disappoint. What type of horse is this? Outside of our window, we noticed a white-nosed coati, which, as we found out, is very prevalent in the region. Just a few minutes' drive from our hotel was the Ardennal 68 hike. In 1968, the volcano suddenly erupted, killing 87 people and burying 3 villages. The hike would lead to the former lava flows. It probably would have been useful to go with a guide who could tell us more about the history and surrounding nature, but in our everything last-minute style of traveling, this would simply be impossible. No sign needed. My Slavic brothers know that curvas are always dangerous. To relax our muscles, we took a dip in the thermal river that runs close to La Fortuna. The locals refer to the river as Chojin, which means scratch. Why is it named that way? Well, because there's a large chance for you to slip on one of the rocks and hurt yourself, especially during the dark of night while you've had one too many. We broke TLC's cardinal rule by chasing a waterfall. La Fortuna Waterfall, to be exact. It's quite tall, and the rocks by it are ridiculously slippery. And going there and back is quite the leg workout, as there are 400 steps you gotta take. The next stop in our journey was the town of Monteverde, which is home to the Monteverde Cloud Forest Reserve. Every single article that I read clearly expressed that one should avoid nighttime driving given the sketchy roads from La Fortuna to Monteverde. So we put our hotel in the map and began the 3+ hour drive in the late afternoon. The drive got considerably extended as we stopped frequently. Here's Lake Ardennal, Costa Rica's largest lake. Here's a German bakery with its own German shepherd. Das ist gut, ja? Then the road got a little bit worse. And then even worse. But it's fine. There were so many beautiful vistas. No, not these vistas. So many beautiful views that we just had to stop and admire. And then it got dark. After numerous steep inclines, a multitude of hairpin turns and pothole checkered roads, the map told us that we finally arrived at a place that was absolutely not our hotel, but was just someone's house. Given that we had no service, I asked around in broken Spanish where our hotel might be. The local boy simply told me arriba, so we continued driving up. We approached the center of town, where we got reception and were able to locate our hotel, which for me was quite the euphoric feeling. We woke up early and made the short drive to the Cloud Forest Reserve. The iconic trail that everyone sees when they Google Monteverde was unfortunately closed as the bridge had been recently damaged by weather, So we went around exploring several of the other trails in the park, and luckily managed to see some capuchin monkeys. And then it was time to head to one specific ocean. But as we started driving, we couldn't resist to stop at the side of the road and admire the stunning beauty of Monteverde one last time. After a 4-hour drive, we arrived in Playa Sapotial. My friend took a dip while I stayed in the car. It was getting dark. By the time my friend had an opportunity to change, he was gorged on by numerous insects that clearly found him very tasty. Needless to say, we bought insect repellent and made sure to spray it liberally. We found accommodations at the Wyndham in Tamarindo. We were sacrificing proximity to the beach for, well, the best way to describe it is for a lifestyle. Watch out for this guy if you're taking a dip in the pool at night though. Tamarindo was the first beach town that we saw that was really lively with people. The late bar closure rules were still in place, but it was usual to see large groups of people congregating around, drinking and smoking outside. It almost felt for a second like there was no global pandemic happening. I was briefly reminded of life in the before times. This is Playa Conchal, one of my favorite beaches in Costa Rica. A large part of the beach is comprised of seashells, Spanish word being concha. That's a nice, big, black. We went to stay a few nights in Playa Hermosa that was quite dead in comparison to Tamarindo. Due to the pandemic, there was barely any guests other than us at the hotel. We routinely enjoyed having Costa Rican ceviche with plantain chips. Although watch out for the prices, cause there's tourist traps everywhere. Real vultures, I tell ya. Alright, enough messing around. Let's get serial. We met some people and they told us that it's imperative to go on a bioluminescence tour in the Bay of Pakera. It was quite out of the way, but we decided to change our non-existent plans and check it out. We went to a place called Bahia Rica Fishing Lodge. We got in our canoes around sunset and stopped off at a nearby island to wait for full darkness. What happened thereafter was nothing short of magical. We began paddling in the dark, and as our paddles disturbed the water, a comical bright neon color was emitted by the marine microorganisms. The air was warm, the water was still, and we had our own nature light show to enjoy. It was nothing short of a religious experience. But I didn't bring my camera because I was scared of dropping in the water, so you'll just have to take my word for it. And now on to the Caribbean. We had not booked a hotel, nor did we know where we'll stay in Limon province. Eventually we found ourselves in the town of Puerto Viejo, not too far from the Panamanian border. Puerto Viejo was bumpin', and partially because of historic Jamaican immigration, it was just as common to hear English as Spanish. As the kids would say, the place had a different vibe than the rest of Costa Rica. We decided to stay there, sat at a bar, and looked for hotels. And everything was booked. I mean everything. To be fair, we did arrive on Boxing Day and knew that many Costa Ricans were on vacation during this time, but we're hoping that our quarantine discount fortunes will continue. So we did what most people would do in our situation. We slept on the beach, or tried to at least. We did find a nice hotel, Umami, for the next day for a cool $250 per night. I thought I was going to get some sleep, but was awakened by what I thought were gunshots from a gang war, only to be told the next morning that people were just setting off fireworks. And that was that, ladies and gentlemen. Right after I arrived back in Canada, the Canadian government imposed new restrictions where travel was basically impossible for the common folk. So salute! Hope y'all enjoy the rest of your quarantine.